Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having a great week to this point. I hope that whatever you set out to do, that you have gained or produced some progress. And even if you haven't, even if you've experienced some setbacks, even if you have had a very tough go of it this week, this month, even this year, I want you to know that if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. Remember, this isn't about some quick hit. This isn't about some magic potion. This is about persistence. This is about setting the course of your life, establishing the things that you desire to achieve in your life, and being consistent and committed enough to finish what you start. It's about going the distance. It's the distance you are willing to go. It is really, truly that simple. Now, it's a process. You're going to have to push through. You're going to have to commit to things. You're going to have some understanding of how things work. You're going to have to be invested in yourself. But the truth is, if you want it bad enough, you will get it. The thing is, many people have fears greater than their desires. People have these things that inhibit their movement, and fear is at the top of the list. But I encourage you, if you're still breathing, stand up, wake up, square your shoulders, hold your head up, and make a decision that you are going to do something today that is going to push you closer to the life that you desire to lead in this world. With that being said, today is what? Thankful Thursday. This is about the power of gratitude. This is about the importance of gratitude. This is about how you set your state of gratitude. And anybody who has followed me for any time knows the amount of gravity I place on gratitude. People know how much emphasis I place on gratitude and the importance of being grateful. It's how I start my day. The first thing out of my mouth every morning is thank you. The moment my eyes open, the first words I speak before I move, before I do anything else, is thank you. And then after that, it's I'm grateful. And the second follow-up to I'm grateful is I'm grateful for this moment. This moment is continuous, it's consistent, and it's always going to be there. I get to define what's in that moment, and I always see opportunities in my moment, despite whatever it is that I may be going through. I'm always going to be aware of the opportunity to do something phenomenal, to do something exceptional, to do something extraordinary that not only impacts my life, but impacts the lives of the people that I have access to, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's my children, whether it's my clients, whether it's people on the different platforms that I operate on, whether it's people that attend conferences like the one I'm doing later this month. It doesn't matter what is. I want to be an impact. So my life isn't just about what I can get from me. It's about what I can do for others and give to others, and in the process, be blessed in my own life. But again, you have the power within yourself to create this life, but it's going to require you to be willing to go the distance. Look, so I consistently monitor the pulse of people, not just in America, but around the world. And it's always one of the things that anybody that's going to be in business, you need to learn to take the pulse of your target audience, the people that your services will be aimed at, and people who will benefit from your services, to know what they're thinking, to know what their concerns are, to know what drives them, to know what their fears are, to know what it is they need most, and how you can provide it with your skill set, with your experience, with your gifts, with your talents. And this is how you deliver it with specificity and efficiency, the things that people need. And this is what business is. It's finding a problem and looking and seeing if your particular skill set is what can produce the solution to that problem. And when you have the ability to provide a solution for a problem, you have a business. And in doing this, I am constantly monitoring the greatest concerns of people. What really truly impacts people psychologically and emotionally. And the five top concerns are happiness and fulfillment are number one. Number two is money and financial stability. Number three is freedom and control over their lives. Number four is love and uh, connection with others. Number five is purpose and direction. And all of these are immensely important. And all of these things are things you need to focus on. All of these things are things that I work directly with my clients to help them achieve. And it's achievable no matter where you start from. Remember, this is going to be my theme in 2024. No matter where you start, it's possible. No matter where you start, it's possible. And there's this idea because I started here, there's only so much I can get. I can get from here to here, but way over there, it's impossible. I can get from here, but up there is impossible. And the truth of the matter is, your starting point is different, but your destiny is true. And what you've got to understand is you've got to be willing to step out and walk into what it requires for you to achieve your destiny. The problem is when you get anchored in your environment, you get anchored in where you started. You start to identify with the behaviors, identify with the movements, and you become comfortable in that without even realizing it. You know something is better. You out there, you know that there are things that are beyond where you're at, but you're comfortable. And eventually you start to buy the notion, this is simply my lot in life. This is simply where I belong. But what I want you to do is I want you to get outside of the idea of lack. I want you to get outside of the idea of how horrible things are. I want you to start trying to train yourself to find the benefit in the moment, to find the positive in the moment, to find the blessing in the moment. Why is it important to do that? Because when you shift how you frame your situations and your circumstances, you shift how you respond to them. When you shift how you respond to them, you shift how the outcome uh, ends up being. When I approach something, if I approach it from a position of lack, then my focus is on what I don't have. So then I start to stress about what I don't have. When I stress about what I don't have, I trigger the fear response in my brain, and I'm actually now in survival mode or fight or flight mode, or I'm going through what's known as a threat response. And what does that do? That shuts down my prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe of the brain, which is so important in being intentional about my movements, the things that allow me to set the course of my life and in responses to my life is shut down. Why? Because the brain, the oxygen and the blood flow that goes to the prefrontal cortex is about 30% of the brain flow. 30 to 40% of your oxygen and blood supplies funneling that when you're using it. And if I'm in a fight or flight response, if I'm in a threat response, then the limbic system, the reptilian part of the brain, the most ancient part of the brain, has told me something is threatening my existence in some way. And now I'm in heightened alert. And imagine the thing that's threatening you doesn't even exist. It's a fear of something that might happen. And do you realize that 70% of the things that you fear will happen or worry about happening never happens? That's a lot of wasted energy in places that you cannot gain anything by investing. Remember, your energy is a resource, and a resource, when put out, is an investment. But if I invest in things that absolutely can no way, in shape, form, or fashion return to me on my investment, I am literally hemorrhaging and throwing away the very resources I need to achieve the things that I'm trying to achieve. And in this threat response, I have shut down my prefrontal cortex, my impulse control, my reason, my rationale, my problem solving. But I've also shut down the right lobe of my the right hemisphere of my frontal lobe. And now there goes my creativity and my imagination, my ability to literally look inside of my mind and come up with solutions to problems that don't exist right now. Some of the most powerful wealth building and revenue generating mechanisms came from the imagination, the ability to explore ideas and solutions that don't exist, getting outside of the box and saying, this is what I can do. What if this happens? What if that happens? many things that I've been able to do is because I was able to step outside the box of what is traditional, the box of status quo, the box of average, the box of this is how it's always been done, and sit up and say, well, what if I don't want to do it that way? What if I want to do it like this? What if I want to deal with it on this level? How can I do that? How does it? Right. In the moment that you do that, the mind begins to explore. The brain is like a Google. It only brings back to you what you search for. If you're talking about your lack, your brain only finds reasons why you're in lack, why you're going to be in lack, why you're going to stay in lack. But if you start to look for the solution to what you're lacking, then the brain starts to find the things that bring the solution. You only get in a Google search what you ask for. That's why you have to be very careful when talking about your research on Google, that you are putting in the proper promptings, the proper keywords to get the right results, because you can find anything that you want to find on there that'll say whatever you want it to say, and it may not be the truth. It may not be what's going to guide you into what you need to, but it can be what will anchor you into lethargy, what will anchor you into mediocrity. And so you got to be careful. So then again, I have to be aware of what I'm focusing on. So I wake up in a state of gratitude, and every gratitude is going to be important, because gratitude is the gateway to abundance. So when I look at all these things, the thing that I think about when I look at happiness and fulfillment, money and financial stability, freedom and control over our lives, love and connection with others, purpose, direction in life, you know what the one word that comes to mind to me is? Abundance. When you are fully experiencing these different things, you are living in absolute abundance. And gratitude is the gateway up to abundance. So before I can get happiness and fulfillment, I've got to have gratitude. And see, most people are looking the other way around. They want happiness and fulfillment, then they'll be grateful for it. No, you have gratitude for the things you have, because I can guarantee you, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're going through, no matter how bad you think it is, there's something right now that you have in your life that you can be grateful for. Let's start with the fact that you're still breathing, because remember what I just told you. If you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. So if nothing else, if I'm still breathing, I still have the opportunity to literally turn this world upside down, put it on its heel, and literally have an impact and change this world. I can come from the most darkest depths of the world if I'm still breathing, and I can come up and I can be a light and a beacon of hope to many, many, many people if I keep pressing. So that very thing right there is worth being grateful for. That's why I always say, thank you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this moment. Why? This moment holds potential. This moment holds potential. This moment isn't in acknowledging anything wrong. It's only acknowledging the potential to change it, the potential to grow, the potential to become. What am I getting at here? I'm trying to get you to understand that you can have happiness and fulfillment, but you got to have an understanding. And personally, one of the things I work with my clients in is truly framing and defining what happiness and fulfillment is. See, we live in a world now, especially with social media, where everything is being defined by things. People want things. And so even when people are talking about finance, it's for things, but they don't understand what the things mean. The things are actually trying to replace something you need. See, when you have a sense of self-awareness, when you have a sense of understanding of who you are, then your life has meaning outside of things. And the beautiful thing about having a life that has meaning outside of things, in those dark times, in those moments where things get rough and those things aren't there, you still know who you are. You still have a sense of purpose. You have a sense of value and worth. You still know you are someone important in this world, not because you're things, but because of your purpose. And then money and financial stability. Money and financial stability is a process. It's a process that anybody can take. Anybody can start from anywhere. I have seen people with minimum wage jobs build wealth. I've seen people that have started out with no sense or understanding of what to do, develop an understanding and a perspicacity of finance, and build a financial future and obtain financial freedom. It is possible, but it requires a state of mind, and that state of mind is best visited in a state of gratitude. There's just something about the state of gratitude that literally elevates what your frequency and your vibration. If you don't understand frequency and vibration, I suggest that you really start to look at it to it, because whether you are a person who is religious, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, whatever it is, Spirituality is really truly about energy. It's about the energy of God and the energy of man. It's spirituality. That is the very nature. That's the one thing that does not die, that cannot be destroyed. It's energy. And how you create that energy is based on your state of mind. When you have proper thoughts, thoughts of gratitude, it elevates your frequency and your vibration. As a matter of fact, all the things that you don't want to experience are in a low vibration, and it comes from low thinking, a low state of mind, a low perception, jealousy, envy, strife, worry, fear, anxiety, bitterness. All of this is 250 hertz, can be literally measured with an instrument, 250 hertz or lower. Gratitude, just saying thank you raises your vibration and frequency to 500 hertz. Then from there, experiencing love. And I'm not talking about romanticism. I'm talking about true benevolence in giving and receiving love pushes you up to 600 to 625 to 650 hertz. Then revelation, the ability to receive information from God in a multiplicity of ways. Revelation 750 hertz. Now you're in the space and operating within access to the mind of God. And this is where ideas begin to happen. Ideas that provide solutions. One of the reasons why many of the people who have religious affiliations have poor prayer performance. They don't have poor prayer lives in the sense that they don't pray. No matter how often they pray, they're not getting the results out of their prayer because they're praying in the space of poor low vibrational frequency, and they're out of reach of the mind of God, which is where you get your revelation. And prayer, believe me, it's about revelation. Prayer is power, but prayer is about revelation. It does not remove you or exempt you from having to execute what you receive in the revelation. In other words, God is never going to, never going to be able to pray to God to deliver you from the giants that God designed you and sent you to slay. There are some things in this world that you have to take on. Some monumental, gigantuan things that you're going to have to take on, and you were put here to do it, and you're never going to be delivered. You're never going to be exempted and delivered from it. You're going to have to face it. And these are the things that most people are running from. They're running from the giants that God sent them to slay, to show other people what's possible in this world. This is an ecosystem of elevation. And if you don't understand it, you always end up right back in the same place because you're functioning from what? Fear, anxiety. You're praying out of fear, anxiety, stress, worry. You're sitting there and it's emotional, but it's not powerful. Why? Because it isn't about an emotional connection with God. It's about a direct awareness of God. Faith is an awareness thing, not an emotional thing. Faith doesn't consider emotion. Faith doesn't consider circumstance. Faith doesn't consider situations. Faith considers, I trust who I am in this and that I believe it will. And so I'm going to move and act like it will. I'm going to talk like it will. I'm going to move and connect and believe and speak into existence things that are not until they become. But it began. So whether it's happiness and fulfillment, money and financial stability, freedom and control of your life. Freedom and control of your life comes from the ability to not let other things control you. Far too many people now, especially with social media, are in this place where they are completely controlled by what other people say, by what other people think, by what other people have, by what other people are potentially doing. Everybody, hello, Golden. Everybody is sitting up now being controlled by something else. You cannot possibly have freedom and control of your life when you're being controlled by the opinions of someone else. You can never have control of your life when everything that you literally judge yourself by and move by is based on what someone else is doing, what someone else has, how someone else's life is going, without understanding the complete story behind what you're seeing. You are sitting up and you're judging your life and you're holding yourself to something that you don't understand. You're supposed to be walking in the freedom of who you are. You're supposed to know who you are. You're supposed to have an understanding of your design, of your purpose, of your gifting, of your reasoning for being here. You have a purpose here. And most people aren't walking out. Most people are born unique, but the vast majority die carbon copies of somebody else because somebody told them that's what they should do. Very few people are walking in the uniqueness of their gifting, the uniqueness of their talents, the uniqueness of their purpose. And that's why so many people are miserable. When I work with my clients, my thing is to see in them what they don't see in themselves, to help them find their purpose, to help them find an awareness of who they are, to reconstruct their self image and their self concept. And immediately, as they begin to experience the reconstruction of their self image, they start to experience an elevation of their self esteem and their self-confidence. Why? Because their self-image has been lying to them, because they've been believing what others have said. They've been believing what society is presenting. They've been believing the bad past experiences of their parents, and they've been wearing the coat of failure. And what I want you to understand is that you have the ability to take off the coat of trauma. You have the ability to take off the coat of poverty. You have the ability to take off the coat of mediocrity and lethargy and average, and you have the right to step out into the sunlight of your destiny and in the brightness of who you are and your being and your gifting, in your talent, in your purpose, and walk a life that is exceptional and extraordinary, that is reflective of God's design. God does not design trash. God does not design average. God does not present forth anything that does not have exceptional value. So if you're walking in lethargy, if you're living in average, if you're dining in poverty, it's because you've accepted a lie based on a situational uh, uh, event in your life, whether it's your parents passing it down, whether it's you watching it in the community you grew up with, whether it's sitting up and being too invested in the random opinion of minimal-minded people who don't see the gifting inside of you. You need to find people who see the gifting, because they're going to come some times that it's going to get so dark that you lose sight of who you are. There's got to be some people in your life that walk up and remind you, you got this. You're built for this. You're going to blow this out of the water. You are doing too much. There's so many times, because I kept planning. Even when I didn't understand how things were going to change, I kept planning. I kept believing. I kept pushing. I kept touching. I kept sowing seeds. I kept talking to people. I kept speaking into the lives of people. And it got to the point that at my darkest moments, people start showing up. When you did this for me. One day, you know how many times I hear or I read in comments, I was about to kill myself. I was about to give up. I was about to throw in the towel. I had given up, and then I saw your video. And I had never seen your video before, but that was the idea that you wake up and you say, "Man, I'm doing all this," and 2 people show up, 3 people show up, and the easy thing is to sit up and say, "This thing isn't working." I'm planting the seed. My goal was, and what has kept me moving in the 30 years that I've been changing the lives of people and living in my purpose, is the one thing that gets me is when I wake up and I decide to do something. When I create a program, my goal is to touch millions. But my premise is, what makes it valuable to me is, if no matter how much I put into it, I have a monetary value assessed to every hour I spend. And so I'm looking at what I invest in something, and I know the monetary value invested. So the idea is, from a business perspective, to get a return on the investment greater than the investment. But here's the thing that trumps all of that. If I touch one life emphatically enough that that trajectory of that life is re-altered, it's good for me. So whenever I sit up and I speak in public, when I take on a client, when I'm sitting up and I'm doing videos, when I write an article, when I write a book, if one person's life is changed through all of that I went through, it's worth it. One life is powerful in this world when it is activated within its potential and it fulfills its design. I'm telling you, that's the thing that you've got to do. You got to wake up every day and plant seeds, even when the seeds you're planting aren't showing immediate fruit. There's in Asia, there's this thing called the Chinese bamboo tree. Maybe you heard of it, maybe you haven't. And there's this weird thing about this tree, is that when you plant it, it shows no proof that it's there. The seeds are there, and you got to come back and you got to treat it like it's sprouting. Every day you got to water it, but for 5 years, nothing. 5 years. You don't see anything, not a sprout, not a little leaf sticking up, nothing. But you got to come back every day and you got to treat it like it's there and like you know it's there, like you believe something's going to happen. And then guess what? After the 5th year, it starts to come up and sprout. And within the next 90 days, it grows almost 100 foot. It's huge. It's like it's crazy. So then the question is, did it grow 100 foot in 90 days or did it grow 100 foot in 5 years and 90 days? And it's 5 years and 90 days. It was the process of gestation, and germination is a part of the growth process. See, we only want to look at when I got the Benz, when I got the Bentley, when I got the house, when I got the 7 figures, when I got and everybody's looking at when I, and so you never get there because you stop working the plan before it manifests itself completely. It's growing, but you got to understand the first part of growth is entering into darkness. That's why seeds are buried. It's in the darkness that things happen, but most people don't want to go through the process of darkness. Most people don't want to go through the process of delay. No, most people don't want to go through the process of patience. Most people don't want to go through the process of perseverance. So what happens is they get in, and when they can't get instant gratification, they give up. That's a problem. You can't keep giving up. You got to learn how to press through. So gratitude is the gateway to abundance. I'm going to leave you with that. You got to learn how to set your state. You got to learn how to establish that mindset. Everything is framed around gratitude for me. I don't allow myself to get caught up in things. I experience pain. I've experienced a lot of it in the last couple of years. Just buried my mom, went through a lot of the last year period. But I guarantee you, I didn't wallow in it. I stood up and I understood. Out of this, something good is going to happen. Something is going to grow. We're going to become stronger. We're going to become closer. I'm going to become more focused. I'm going to become more emphatic. I'm gaining more intensity. I'm gaining more I find the beauty in every moment, even if it's a bunch of ugly stuff around. I'm looking for the beauty, and because I'm looking for the beauty, I experience abundance at a greater level than the average person. I'm not going to identify with the mess. I'm going to rebuke it. I'm going to reject it. I'm going to push it away. I'm going to look for the solutions to overcome it, but I'm not going to let it be the heavy thing in my life. And that's my challenge to you. Again, I'm about to get off of here. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I'm challenging you to do the same thing. Don't forget, right now we're still extending for a limited time. You can get a free upgrade from the bronze package to the platinum package. That means working with me for an entire year. The link in there to learn more about that is in the description box. I would love to work with people. I've got 5 free upgrades ready to give away. Check it out in the description box. On that note, look, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day.